For many centuries, Western cultures have predominantly portrayed Jesus Christ as a Caucasian figure. In painting Jesus as a fair-skinned, white-bearded man with flowing hair, we have also come to accept the biblical Israelites in the same way, as predominantly white people. Although this portrayal mostly lacks biblical foundation, it has not stopped it from going mainstream and becoming a well-established reality. However, because the Bible provides little description of Jesus' physical appearance, many scholars have challenged this description. As new facts come to light from a series of archaeological discoveries and more enlightened research into this subject, we get a clearer picture of the actual state of things. One of the more recent discoveries can be traced to Russia. In a groundbreaking move that has captured the attention of historians, scholars, and the global community, Russia has opened its historical archives to unveil a long-hidden chapter of its past, the presence of Black Biblical Israelites. This revelation challenges conventional historical narratives and sheds light on the presence of cultural bias in religious belief and art. In today's video, we examine the story behind this discovery and its implications for the very essence of our faith and belief. Please like and share this video. Also, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for our channel as well. Thanks, and let's head into the video. The argument for historical accuracy regarding the possibility of a Black Jesus and other Black characters in the Bible is complicated, and the recent unveiling by Russia adds a further twist to this web of unending back and forths on the controversial issue. We will delve into this subject by examining 7 critical narratives that add context to the recent revelations by Russia. Number 1. The Russian role and influence. Russia has been playing an essential role in shaping the narrative around the presence of Black biblical characters and in revisiting other broader biblical themes. The country is predominantly Orthodox and is famous for its majestic cathedrals and traditionally accurate practice of the Christian faith. It is no surprise, therefore, that a flurry of reactions has trailed the decision of Russia's leader, President Putin, to relocate some of the country's most famous and holiest icons. Putin ordered Andrei Rublev's most famous icon, the Trinity, to be moved from its traditional home in the historic Treasury Museum to the custody of the Russian Orthodox Church, where it would be displayed at the Cathedral of Christ the Savior in Moscow. The icon would later be returned to the Trinity Cathedral at the Trinity Lavra of St. Sergius. As expected, the decision to move the icon has been greeted by mixed reactions, with many opposing the relocation of such an important and fragile piece. Many have questioned the relevance of such a move in light of its historical affiliation with the Treasury Museum and its place in bridging the long-established divide between cultural and political gaps. This also brings us to the question of why the Trinity icon. From what we gather, the Trinity icon is inarguably Russia's most iconic piece of art. It depicts the biblical story of Abraham's encounter with 3 angels who visited him at his home, with the oak of Mamre and a mountain in the backdrop. But that is not even the most important part. The Trinity painting depicts these 3 angels in black tones, and it has continuously shaped arguments for the longest time about the possibility of Black biblical characters. For many people, the representation of such important characters as the angels in black skin by a drawing as old as the 15th century further proves the prevalence of Black characters in the Bible. It casts further perspective on the subject and highlights the truth that we all suspect, and we'll discuss it next. Number 2. Russia's unearthing of icons and the implications beyond Putin's order to relocate the Trinity icon. Russia has also been at the center of a massive discovery that has threatened to rattle some of the most important parts of our collective belief. Russia has opened some of its historic vaults to reveal several other historic icons of the post-biblical era. These icons capture several iconic characters in the Bible and paint them or their fellow characters in black tones. While this characterization would have been vigorously challenged in the past, it has instead been widely entertained as part of a series of fresh insights and inquests into long-disputed theories of the existence of Black biblical characters as old as time itself. Imagine that important biblical characters like Moses, Joshua, Simon, and even Jesus had more black skin than has been portrayed in historic and contemporary religious art and literature. Well, that would be nothing short of iconic and groundbreaking. But these discoveries bring us to a more critical question. Why were these characters depicted initially as white people? Was it part of a concerted effort by the religious and political thought leaders of old to whitewash the image of Jesus and maybe to establish a superiority of the white race? Or was it just an unintentional depiction that was simply accepted back then as the most accurate and conventionally accepted truth? We will never know for sure. But one thing is certain: the Middle East, where the biblical events are premised on, is populated by people with less whitey skin tones. Given that systematic racism was much less of an issue then than it is now, it is inconceivable that a black population of Jews did not exist then. With these discoveries of black icons in Russia's historic vaults, it is becoming clearer by the day that there may have been a plan to subjugate the black biblical community. Number 3. Russia's iconographic tradition. Within the Russian Orthodox tradition, the depiction of religious figures with darker skin tones in icons has a long history that dates back centuries. Many iconographers of Russian descent have been inspired by the artistic conventions originally inherited from Byzantine and Eastern Christian traditions. These traditions mainly emphasized symbolic representations of divine and sacred realities, but also added black tones to the characters portrayed. Russia's rich iconographic history shines through a series of incredibly detailed paintings and frescoes from as far back as the 1300s. These stunning artworks and icons have been carefully preserved within the vaults of private collectors and museums across Russia. What makes them unique is that they depict religious figures like the Holy Family, with unmistakably dark skin, kinky hair textures, and other physical traits commonly associated with people of African ancestry. One of the most famous examples of these icons is the Black Jesus icon, named the Savior of Zvenigorod and painted by the renowned Russian iconographer Andrei Rublev in the 15th century. This icon portrays Jesus with dark brown skin, reflecting the theological portrayal of Christ as a universal and inclusive figure. Rublev also explores this theme in his 15th century painting, The Trinity. The painting is based on the biblical story of Abraham and his encounter with the three angels who visited him at the Oak of Mamre, as seen in Genesis 18 from verses 1 to 8. The tradition of depicting black biblical icons in Russia continued through the centuries, with numerous examples found in churches, monasteries, and private collections. Many of these icons have portrayed popular biblical characters like Mary, the mother of Jesus, and several other saints in the same light. The icons draw from predominant Byzantine influence and can be argued to have become iconographical canon due to their prevalence. Although the originality of these icons is still debated to date, they have helped stir up uncomfortable discussions. They have helped people to become more open to the possibility of even more black biblical characters than we currently know. Number 4. Symbolism and Interpretation. Some scholars have interpreted the depiction of a black Jesus and other black characters in the Bible as symbolic of broader theological themes. These themes include the universality of God's love and the inherent dignity of all humanity. They argue that these representations challenge prevailing Eurocentric interpretations and invite a more inclusive understanding of religious imagery. The argument stems from a tendency of past white scholars to whitewash the image of Christ and Christianity as a whole. With biblical proof to back the inclusive nature of the Christian faith, it is easy to see their point of view. For example, the story of the Ethiopian eunuch in the book of Acts has been interpreted as a symbol of the universal nature of salvation. This depiction transcends ethnic and cultural boundaries and proves that we are all one under God. The encounter between Philip and the Ethiopian further highlights the inclusive nature of Christianity, welcoming individuals from diverse backgrounds into the community of believers. Moreover, the portrayal of Jesus as a black man in religious art serves as a powerful statement of solidarity with marginalized and oppressed communities. It emphasizes Jesus' identification with the poor, the marginalized, and the disenfranchised, affirming their dignity and worth in the eyes of God. So the Russian discoveries of Black history in biblical times only further prove what we have always known or argued, that there is no color or race under God. It is only the prejudice and greed of man that has sought to create ethnic divisions in the Christian faith. As more people accept this fact, the importance of these discoveries will be well understood and appreciated, and hopefully will not need further archaeological evidence to prove that color doesn't matter. Number 5. Social justice and representation. In recent years, there has been a growing emphasis on the importance of social justice and representation within religious discourse. The proponents of a Black Jesus argue that portraying him and other Black characters in the Bible with darker skin tones is a form of representation. They claim that it promotes racial equality and challenges systemic biases within religious art and interpretation, and it is not difficult to imagine why. Over the years, it has become more glaring that the long-established representation of Jesus as a white man cannot be overly accurate, given what we currently know of his Middle Eastern origins. So what we have all come to know as the white-skinned Jesus may have been the fabrication of people invested in championing some perceived white patronage. This seeming bias does not bode well for people of other races, and it has continued to spark debates for the longest time. Various ethnic groups have challenged the predominance of white context in religious imagery. The Black Lives Matter movement and other social justice initiatives have highlighted the need for greater diversity and inclusion in religious imagery, particularly within Western Christianity. Advocates for a Black Jesus argue that diversifying representations of religious figures can contribute to greater racial reconciliation and understanding within religious communities. Thanks to recent discoveries from Russia and elsewhere around the world, we are slowly seeing the true picture for what it is, a gross mischaracterization that may or may not have been intentional. The rediscovery of Black icons in Russia has provided tangible evidence of historical representations of a Black Jesus and other Black figures in religious art. Scholars and researchers point to these icons as proof of alternative depictions within the Christian tradition. It has ultimately shed light on previously overlooked aspects of cultural and religious history. Number 6. The diversification of the Israelites. The Israelites weren't a monolithic entity confined to a single geographical location. Their history is marked by periods of exile and migration into several parts of the world, far from the Middle East. Following rebellions against powerful empires like Assyria and Babylon, many of the Israelite population were forcibly displaced and scattered across the ancient world. This diaspora population resurfaced and pooled together in several places to establish Israelite communities in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and even North Africa. Today, we have a substantial number of people of Jewish origins worldwide, from Jewish Ethiopians to Coptic Egyptians and Ashkenazi Jews in Russia. These people have Black skin tones, further proving the existence of Black Jews as far back as biblical times. We can trace the existence of these Black Jews to the story of Shem in the Bible. The Bible records that Shem, a tribe of Black people, disobeyed God and were condemned to spend the rest of their lives as scattered people all around the earth. So when they faced opposition from foreign kingdoms like Babylon and Assyria, who would later banish them from their ancestral lands, it only served as a manifestation of the earlier promise God made to them as punishment. The descendants of Shem thus dispersed everywhere from the Middle East to parts of Africa, Asia, and even Europe. This widespread dispersal gave roots to the cultural and intimate exchanges that gave rise to what we have today, people of Jewish origins in lands far away from their ancestral lands. Their present-day existence further goes to show that there's an inherent diversity within the original Israeli population. It further proves that the ancient biblical era Israel had a thriving Black population that survives to date through centuries of mixing, all possibly occasioned by that one promise or curse from God. Number 7. The long journey ahead. Admittedly, the series of local and world wars that the nation Israel has been embroiled in may have resulted in the displacement of its Black population from their ancestral lands to several places around the world as we see today. But that doesn't account for the disappearance of any significant history of Black biblical people as is obtainable today. This question has continued to intrigue biblical scholars and historians for centuries, leading to many inquests and expeditions devoted to unearthing more facts on the subject. These inquests led to the discovery of several writings and paintings dating back centuries that portrayed several popular biblical characters as black people or alongside black people. The discovery of these paintings has been very important in stirring up fresh discussions and bringing new perspectives to the subject of biblical inclusion. The evidence of black people mentioned in the Bible is crucial for dealing with unfairness in history and making up for past mistakes. It is vital for challenging deep-rooted beliefs of white superiority and instances of prejudice and racism spread by people in the Western world. When we acknowledge the existence and importance of black characters in the Bible, scholars and activists can push back against stories that have traditionally sidelined and treated people of African descent as less than human. Russia's decision to reveal its Black Biblical Israelite heritage can be interpreted in different ways in light of recent developments in the country. With the war in Ukraine brewing on with no end in sight, experts have argued that the move is part of President Putin's more grandstanding effort to curry the favor of Russia's more orthodox population. Some say he is walking a thin line between politics and religion, but there's no denying that the move has sparked an even more important wave of enlightenment. The unearthing of these icons has helped to provide more evidence that there was a thriving black population in biblical times, and that there may have been a campaign to conceal these truths and bury them in the vaults of history. As Russia continues to explore and celebrate its diverse cultural heritage, the revelation of its Black Biblical Israelite history serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of inclusivity and understanding in shaping our shared future. This discovery invites us to re-examine our histories, challenge prevailing narratives, and embrace the richness of our shared cultural heritage. In doing so, we embark on a path towards a more inclusive and equitable society that values all communities' contributions and celebrates the diversity of human experiences that shape our world. On this note, we have come to the end of today's video. We hope you have been enlightened by today's video, and we look forward to having you when we next roll out a new video. Please like and share this video if you haven't done so yet, and then subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our interesting videos. See you next time.